Becoming a police officer is supposed to be about preparing to protect and serve, not dying before you even get your badge. Yet for too many hopeful recruits across America, the journey ends tragically and unnecessarily at the police academy. An investigation by the Associated Press found that at least 29 recruits have died over the last decade, not in the line of duty, but during the very training designed to prepare them for it. These aren't complex, unavoidable accidents. These are deaths from things we understand all too well: heat stroke, dehydration, and being pushed past the breaking point during intense physical drills. It's a heartbreaking reality that the first few days of training, a time of excitement and aspiration, can become the most dangerous. Think about it. You sign up to serve your community, you say goodbye to your family, and you show up on day one, ready to give it your all. But instead of learning how to de-escalate a conflict or investigate a crime, you're pushed into a grueling run on a scorching hot day. For many, this is where the system fails them. A significant number of these deaths happen right at the beginning of the academy, often during timed runs or punishing exercises that seem more about hazing than practical training. The very place that is meant to build officers up is, in some cases, literally breaking them down before they even have a chance to start. The stories are as consistent as they are devastating. In New York City, a recruit dies from heat stroke. In Kentucky, another perishes during a water-based exercise. In Massachusetts, a 25-year-old named Enrique Delgado Garcia dies after a boxing drill. And 8 months later, his family is still waiting for answers. These aren't isolated incidents, they are part of a disturbing pattern. The training environments that are supposed to forge strong, resilient officers are creating deadly conditions. The focus on extreme physical exertion, often without proper medical oversight or acclimatization, is turning a career path into a potential death sentence. We have to ask ourselves, what is the point of a test that is so tough it kills the people taking it? This isn't about making training easy. Nobody is asking for police academies to become yoga retreats. It's about making training smart and safe. It's about recognizing that a recruit who collapses from heat stroke isn't weak. They are a victim of a system that failed to protect them. The goal should be to produce capable, healthy officers who can handle the pressures of the job, not to weed people out through a brutal process of physical attrition. When the training itself becomes the biggest threat, it's clear that the system is broken. We are losing good people who wanted to serve, and we are losing them for reasons that are entirely preventable. When you look closer at who is dying in these training academies, a deeply troubling picture emerges. It's not just a random group of people, there is a stark racial disparity. The Associated Press investigation revealed something shocking. Nearly 60% of the recruits who died from exertion-related causes over the past decade were Black. Now hold that number for a second. Federal data shows that Black officers make up only about 12% of local police forces in the country. So, a group that represents 12% of the force is accounting for almost 60% of these training deaths. That's not a statistic, that's a 5-alarm fire. It tells us that something is going horribly wrong, and it's disproportionately affecting Black recruits. The key to understanding this disparity often lies in a medical condition that many people have never even heard of: sickle cell trait. This is a genetic trait, not a disease, that is most common among people of African descent. Millions of Black Americans carry it, and most don't even know they have it. Under normal circumstances, it causes no problems. But during extreme physical exertion, dehydration, or in high heat, exactly the conditions found in many police academies, it can become deadly. The trait can cause red blood cells to deform, blocking blood flow and leading to catastrophic organ damage. It's a hidden danger, a silent risk that turns a tough workout into a fatal event. This isn't just a theory, it's a documented factor in many of these tragedies. Take the case of Marcus Ziegler, a 36-year-old recruit who died in Ohio in 2023 during a training run. His death was later linked to complications from sickle cell trait. His story is a powerful example of how a lack of awareness can have the ultimate cost. The issue isn't that Black recruits are less capable, it's that they are, in some cases, being placed in situations that are uniquely dangerous for them without anyone, not the instructors, and often not even the recruits themselves, understanding the specific biological risk they face. This is a profound failure of care and knowledge. The solution here isn't to bar people with sickle cell trait from becoming police officers. That would be discriminatory and counterproductive. In fact, experts say that's the wrong approach entirely. The answer is simple screening and education. A basic blood test, costing around $75, can identify who has the trait. This isn't for disqualification, it's for awareness. It's so instructors and recruits know that certain precautions are necessary, like prioritizing hydration, avoiding training in extreme heat, and knowing the warning signs of an emergency. This exact approach has been incredibly successful in the NCAA, where screening for the trait has dramatically reduced deaths among college athletes. Police academies can and should do the same. The most frustrating part about these preventable deaths is that the solutions are not complicated or expensive. We don't need to invent some futuristic technology or spend billions of dollars. On June 11, 2025, a panel of experts laid out a clear roadmap for reform, and it's full of common-sense changes. First and foremost, we need to empower both instructors and recruits with knowledge. Instructors need to be trained to recognize the signs of heat stroke, severe dehydration, and complications from conditions like sickle cell trait. They are the first line of defense, but right now, many of them are simply not equipped to be. They are often tasked with so much that preventative safety just slips through the cracks. Beyond training the instructors, we need to fundamentally change the culture inside these academies. For too long, police training has operated under a no pain, no gain, or suck it up mentality. This culture of toughness can be deadly when it prevents a recruit from speaking up about feeling dizzy, cramping, or unwell. They fear being seen as weak, being washed out of the program, or facing retaliation from their instructors. We need to create an environment where a recruit can raise their hand and say, "I need water or I don't feel right," without fear. That simple act of communication could be the difference between a short break and a funeral. Safety and self-advocacy should be seen as signs of intelligence, not weakness. Another glaring issue is the lack of on-site medical professionals. You would think that any place where people are pushed to their physical limits would have a medic or an athletic trainer standing by, but many police academies don't. They might have someone on call, but when a recruit collapses from heat stroke, you don't have minutes, you have seconds. Having a trained medical professional on site during all physical training sessions is a non-negotiable step. These experts can monitor recruits, enforce hydration protocols, and provide immediate, life-saving intervention. This is standard practice in professional sports and college athletics. Why should the standards for protecting future police officers be any lower? Finally, we need to enforce basic safety protocols consistently. This means having clear, mandatory rules about hydration, rest, and acclimatization periods, especially during the first few weeks of training. It means modifying or postponing outdoor drills when the heat index is dangerously high. These aren't suggestions. They should be ironclad rules. It also means reevaluating whether every exercise is truly relevant to modern policing. Is a timed 1.5-mile run in 100-degree weather the best way to determine if someone will be a good officer? Or does it just create an unnecessary risk? By focusing on practical, job-relevant fitness in a controlled and safe environment, we can build stronger, smarter, and most importantly, living police officers. One of the biggest obstacles to making police academies safer is the shocking lack of national standards. Right now, training practices can vary dramatically from state to state, and even from one local academy to another. There is no single governing body that says, "This is the baseline for safety." This patchwork system means that while one academy might have excellent medical oversight and safety protocols, another one just down the road might be operating with outdated methods and virtually no medical support. This inconsistency is a recipe for disaster. It means that a recruit's chance of survival can depend entirely on the zip code where they choose to train. This has to change. The good news is that people are starting to take notice. National organizations are finally stepping up. The International Association of Directors of Law Enforcement Standards and Training, or IADLEST, is working on new global guidance to prevent these deaths. The International Association of Chiefs of Police is studying the issue, and the panel of experts from groups like the National Athletic Trainers Association is drafting new best practices. This is a crucial first step. We need these organizations to create clear, evidence-based standards that every single academy in the country must follow. These standards should cover everything from medical screening and instructor training to hydration rules and emergency action plans. Implementing these changes is not an attack on the police, it's an investment in them. Every time a recruit dies in training, we don't just lose a person, we lose a potential officer who could have served their community for decades. We lose someone who was willing to put their life on the line for others, only to have that life taken by a preventable training accident. Ensuring that recruits can train safely is the very first step in building a better, more trusted police force. Healthy, well-trained officers are better prepared to handle the immense pressures of the job and to serve their communities effectively and compassionately. A safe training ground is the foundation for a successful career in public service. The time for discussion is over. The reports have been written, the experts have spoken, and the families of the fallen have waited long enough for change. We cannot afford to lose one more recruit to a system that is failing to perform its most basic duty, to keep its people safe. We need urgent, decisive action. We need national standards that are enforced without exception. We owe it to the recruits who put on a uniform with pride and hope, and we owe it to the communities that are waiting for them to serve. Let's make sure that every person who enters a police academy has the chance to graduate and fulfill that promise.